All right, welcome back, everyone. The league is back for season 6. Where I am here with Bad Rhymes. Bad Rhymes, how are you doing today?
Doing great. Really excited to be here for my first season commentating with the league. Interested to see how everybody does today.
Yeah, and it's great to have you for the entire season to help commentate. There have been several races last season where I had to commentate solo, and it's been I wouldn't say unpleasant, but it's definitely been very what's the right word? Not daunting, but very it's a heavy, I guess. I don't know. I'm trying to struggle with the right word here.
Seems like it's an intense, more intense than people think it is to do commentary. You have to be really on it the whole time, and I think if you're doing that by yourself, trying to stay with it for the entire race with no help, I can see how that would be pretty draining.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it's that plus the fact that both races for Division 1 and 2 last season amount to like a total of maybe 3.5 to 4 hours of just straight up commentating. So
Hmm.
always grateful to have someone here in the commentary box with me. So glad to have you on board.
Thank you.
So season 6, we are blessed with a new car that was announced earlier this year. It's the Gran Turismo F3500-A. It's a Formula car that's supposed to be supposed to emulate Formula One cars from the late '80s and early '90s era. Um, so, Bad Rhymes, do you have any have you driven this car yet? Have you tested it out?
Um,
Anything? Do you have any
I
thoughts on
have
it?
driven it a little bit. I tested it out a little to see if I wanted to take part in the league this year, with this season. It would have been my first league season, but I kind of realized that I love watching open wheelers a lot more than I enjoyed driving them. Um,
Yeah,
but
the fact
what's
that you're
interesting about
here
this
says a
one,
lot.
yeah. But what's interesting about this car is I'm actually reading Adrian Newey's book right now, and one of the cars that it's kind of based on is one of the cars that he designed in the early '90s, late '80s for March,
Oh,
um,
nice.
the
Yeah,
Leighton
that's his
House car. Yeah,
his aerodynamics book, basically, right? The
yeah,
aero book.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I've been
So
meaning
it's a
to pick that
perfect time
up.
to be reading that. It's a great read. It goes really deep on a lot of very nerdy stuff, but also lots of inside baseball F1 history.
Oh
That's really
man,
interesting.
that's like right up my alley. What's it called again? What's this book called again?
I think it's just called How to Build a Car.
How to build a car. All right. Yeah. So for those watching, remember that's it's a good pickup. So definitely check it out. I'm definitely gonna do that myself. So back to the league. Um, Welcome Dutra in chat. Um, I saw your times earlier, and we'll probably talk about that during the broadcast today. But we are here for the first qualifying shootout track. So the way qualifying works for the league at LRC is that we have a shootout, and it doesn't necessarily quote unquote qualify drivers to participate in the league. Everyone who signed up for the league will participate. This will just simply give us a benchmark in everyone's skill, and then we'll take the top 7 drivers of this qualifying shootout and we'll form teams based off of those 7 drivers. So the format is 28 drivers total, 7 captains for each team, so 7 teams, 4 per team, and then we'll have 2 divisions, 14 drivers in each division. The first division will be driving this car that we're qualifying with, the F3500, and then Division 2 will be driving the F1500 T-A, but it will be at reduced power to simulate, I think, the Formula 3000 series or the Formula GP or something like that for the 90s. Let me see. Let me check to see exactly what Dinosaur was looking for in this one. Formula 3000, yeah. So 1993 Formula 3000 car, and then the Division 1 is supposed to simulate the 1993 Formula 1 season. So super cool setup this season. And Dinosaur is giving us the 2-minute warning to get started very soon. So we'll be joining the drivers pretty shortly here in a moment.
And so it might be worth just going over. So once the team captains are chosen, those 7, how are the rest of the teams chosen? Is it through draft or is it all based on times people get filtered out to the teams?
So previously we used to do based off of time. We would just pair everyone, the fastest driver with the slowest driver in each division, and then kind of just keep going from there. And then you get your 4 teams, or sorry, your 7 teams. But last season and this season, we have switched to a draft format. And I think it's been more interesting with the draft setup because one of the things that I like the most about the league is that it's just simply supposed to be like a collaborative situation between
Hmm.
drivers. And I think it's much more fun for people who are participating if they are able to draft people that they've either raced before with, or have a relationship with, or sometimes like a working relationship with in the Discord. And
Hmm.
so like if you're racing with your friends alongside of your friends on the same team in the league, it's typically more fun for them, and then we get better participation and so on and so on. So it's been, I think, a better format with the draft.
All right, exciting. Excited to see how everything shakes out. We've already had 2 sessions, correct, that happened over the weekend.
Yeah, that's
And so a
correct.
lot of people have already logged their times.
Yeah, I believe we had a session on Saturday. 5 people had put in their times on Saturday. We had 4 on Sunday, and then today we'll be doing the remainder. So we'll be doing 9, I think, in this first session, and then we'll be doing 12 in the session that follows this one. So
Great.
Dinosaur has started the qualifying process, so we'll join our drivers shortly. Give me 1 second. Let me switch over to super cool like camera shot there with the car in the garage. It's like very, very cool.
Yeah, I always like to see how they set those up. This is one of the Gran Turismo original tracks, so the garage is probably going to be nicer than the paddocks that you get in a lot of real world courses.
It's unfortunate they don't get. I don't know. I actually don't know if they do it, but it'd be cool if they had like the animation of like the car driving out of the garage and then
Yeah.
like going down the pit lane. That'd be super cool. I don't think they do that,
Hmm.
but that would be a cool addition. All right, so we got, I believe, eight drivers, maybe 9 drivers on track. Yeah, 9 drivers on track. Let's just go through each of them. So Goran this season has done us a favor and stepped up to be a full-time driver. Goran, a longtime member of LRC, was previously running his own server called Good Racing, and eventually Good Racing merged with LRC for personal reasons. So Goran just decided to fold his Discord into ours, essentially. So we kind of merged. That was pretty cool. But Goran has kind of raced with us, or is racing with us, excuse me, this season out of necessity because we needed, I think, an extra driver to participate. I think we had 2 open spots before he
Whoops.
decided to join us full time.
Oh. A little bit of action on the track from Goron, slipping around a little bit.
Yeah, these cars are not easy to drive. Yeah, definitely not easy to drive. There we go. Goran hops back into the garage, comes back out. I think he picked up damage on the front left there.
Yeah.
But going back to the cars this season, traditionally we have disabled traction control. I think, yeah, traction control as a driver's assist for all divisions up until this season with this car, where it's very, very difficult to control the power on this car. So we decided to leave traction control on for our drivers as an aid for them this season.
Which is interesting. Going back to that book for a moment, this era right around here in 1993 is when the FIA actually passed a bunch of rules getting rid of things like traction control in the cars for that time, as well as active suspension and things like that, because they felt that teams were getting too much of an advantage. And right around this time, a lot of the cars had to strip down to the more basic systems, and traction control was not one of the things that was allowed.
Yeah, and it wasn't until the year after, right, when they still had the same regulations, when things were pretty bad for drivers in terms of safety.
Yep.
And that was the year that Senna died. So,
correct. Yeah.
And after that, the FIA prioritized safety over rules and regulations like traction control and whatnot
Hmm.
to prioritize driver safety, which is really, really interesting.
Luckily, we won't have to deal with any of that here.
Yeah, right. Yeah, none of our drivers have to deal with safety, so they could go into a wall at 200 miles an hour and they'll be nice and still, alive with the comfort of their sim rig at home.
The worst thing to happen would be a surprise in VR.
Yeah. All right, so we're now joined with Ads. Ads has been with us, I don't even know how long at this point, but he's participated pretty much in every single league, maybe aside from the first one. I think he's in the Jaguar Eddie Jordan. Is that an old Eddie Jordan livery?
Yeah, I believe that is right. Yeah.
Yep. So currently holding the provisional pole position. Technically, it's not a pole position since there won't be a race after this qualifying session, but currently at the top position for the qualified session so far.
It'd be interesting to see how things shake up as the qualifier goes on. In F1 racing, it seems like people definitely build up to their fastest lap, but I wonder if in Gran Turismo that's as much of a necessity, or if people can get to it quicker and we'll see less evolution of the lap times over the course of the 15 minutes.
Yeah, one of the things that Gran Turismo, I believe, doesn't do is track evolution in terms of rubber being laid down on the track. Additionally, we've set up qualifying to be under equal conditions mode for qualifying to make it the same across all sessions. And so the grip level, the track temperature, the wind, and all that stuff are all exactly the same across sessions. To eliminate any sort of environmental differences that the drivers may have between sessions, to make sure that that doesn't affect lap times.
That's good. That way no one feel like they got cheated.
So as we were just talking there, Little Goron jumps to second place. And we're currently on board with Djax. I think Djax was also a former Good Racing member who joined LRC through, I don't want to call it an acquisition, but it was kind of like a merger, I guess. Djax has participated in many LRC races, but I don't think he's participated as a full-time contestant so far. Good to see Djax participating this season.
Seems
Nixon,
like there's
sorry, go ahead.
Several new people coming in this season. I think there was a bit of a push to get some fresh blood into the league. And it sounds like even just some of the long-standing guys are going at it for the first time.
Yeah, surprisingly, the majority of people participating are people returning.
Mm-hmm.
So out of all the people that have qualified or are on the qualifying sign-up sheet right now, Riley Steelhorse, who qualified over the weekend. That's two that are new. We have Djax, but Djax I wouldn't really consider new. He's basically been racing with us for quite a while. Let's jump over with A Holmes. So A Holmes, I think, has not raced with us in a full season. So A Holmes will be joining us as a full-time driver for season 6. So this will be A Holmes' debut season. And I think that is it. So out of 28 drivers, we have 4, maybe 3.5, because Djax is very familiar with the league. So 3, let's say just say 3 debuts for season 6.
Be interesting to see how the new members do joining the league. I'm sure everyone will pick up a lot of new knowledge over the course of the season. Just that's the kind of place LRC is. It's a pretty supportive racing environment.
Yeah, most definitely. That's one of the things that we love the most about LRC, and we try to promote as much as possible. is the collaborative aspect of racing on a team over the course of the season instead of just individual performance. But we like to see, individual performance in battles as well across individuals in the season as well. So, but at the end of the day, the team is what matters the most, the team championship, since it spans across both divisions.
Yeah, I like that format. It's pretty clever. Then you get a lot of camaraderie and practice together, and the more experienced drivers can help the less experienced drivers get their skills up over the course of the season. I think it's a really good way to run things. Fosters good community.
So Luke Fubar there gets a little squirrely around that long right-hander that is turn 6. We'll see if Luke Fubar can improve his time. So Luke has also been with us for a couple seasons now. I think Luke's first season with us was the infamous NASCAR season 4. I think same with Cecil Turtle, actually. So Cecil also joined us in the infamous NASCAR season. So good to see both of them back.
Heard a lot about the NASCAR season.
Yeah, that was, as a commentator, that was probably the most painful season to commentate, because we had so many VSCs that each race would last like 3 hours. It was not pretty. So Motsky, one of 3 Canadians participating today in the Williams livery, currently sitting in 5th position at the moment. 1.47 from our group leader ads. Motsky has been with us. I should keep tabs on this, but like Motsky has been with us, I think maybe since season 3. So a lot of not only there's a lot of people returning for season 6, a lot of these people have been with us for a very long time. And I think that's just says a lot about the LRC community and the quality of racing that we have at LRC for our league. We get a lot of people coming back for the previous season, the following seasons, because of the quality of the racing, the quality of our production, and the fairness and everything all inclusive.
Yeah, it says a lot. It's hard to find a good community to race with. It's hard to find a good community that has so many people that are willing to dedicate themselves for so long to this kind of thing. And so it's pretty cool. You get to see all of these people change and grow and get to know each other. And it's like Killer Pros lost it coming out of turn 14 there.
Yeah, the traction. I think he just simply snapped the car on the exit there.
Yeah, I mean, that turn 14, that's an important corner, because that's your last turn before the stretch to the finish line. So trying to push it hard to get a good exit out of there is important.
Yeah, and that's probably the longest straight on the track too. So exit speed out of that corner, just any sort of mistake out of 14 just multiplies as you go all the way down the straight. Yeah, so exit of turn 14, and then also the exit of turn 10 before the back straight too. Both of those are incredibly important.
Yep. Around again. A little bit of racing action.
Really cool onboard view there with the pros. And you can hear the car of ads there swinging by. It's pretty cool. One of the things I noticed that was pretty interesting is that
looks like there's some contact there.
Yeah, I think that was that Luke Fubar that's behind him? No, I think that was maybe Nixon. I don't know who that was. It was Holmes. his homes either. I'm trying to find who that was.
Might have gone back to the pits afterwards.
Yeah. So I was saying earlier, what I noticed in one of the preseason testing events that we did is that some of the cars sound different from each other. So,
Interesting.
and I haven't quite figured out exactly what causes them to sound different, but I think it might be like the different body type that you put on the car. So whenever you go to the GT Auto section, you can change some of the parts of the car. And some of them might have like a different rear section of the car. So like, for instance, D-Jax's car, the slant from the back hood kind of goes backwards gradually. Let me see if I can find a car with the other one, the alternate one. So yeah, here's an alternate one. So this is Luke Fubar. You can see the rear cover of the engine is slightly different from the one before that we're looking at on D-Jax's car. But his car sounds the same as everyone else's. There's one other sound. It's more of like a, yeah, here it is. So this one sounds significantly different than the other ones. It's like a more muffled engine sound, which is really interesting.
Interesting. Yeah, I wonder if maybe they have a couple of different emulations because the car is kind of covering a few different years of F1.
Yeah, and I still haven't figured out what exactly you changed to make it sound that way.
Well, it looks like Ads has maintained first place with that early quick lap that he had. Doesn't look like anyone's quite closed in on him.
Yeah, so Ads.
But again, this isn't about where you qualify, it's more about your time at the end.
That is correct, yes. So one of the things that we'll be doing is that we will... Did D-Jax just run out of fuel? I think he ran out of fuel.
He ran out of fuel, yeah. Oh
no.
Had a spin there from somebody. Yeah, one of the interesting things I've learned about Gran Turismo doing some research about the game is that they actually don't record the actual car engines for all the cars in the game. They have a proprietary software that emulates the engine sounds.
Oh, very interesting.
They've been refining it for years, and so unlike some of the other sim games, they're not actually using the cars. They're doing kind of a physical computing modeling of those engines instead to achieve the same effect, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, that is really neat. So, I mean, that makes a lot of sense because of all the cars that they have in the game. I would imagine it's really difficult to emulate the sound across all the different types of environments that you hear the engine noise coming from. Like if you're sitting in the cockpit, that's going to sound different from the chase cam, which is going to sound different from the camera angle that's on the car. And so I would imagine if you wanted to record the actual sound of the engine and then try to modify it so that it sounds correct in all those different environments, I would imagine that's probably more difficult than to just do what they're doing, I guess, per car for like 500 cars or so.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely with the amount of cars that they have, it's probably much easier to just use their system, and then the environments can just kind of take it from there.
All right, so let's take a quick look at the results. So Ads takes our top position with a 109.44. D-Jax takes second with a 109.43, so about just under half a second from Ads. We got Little Goron in third. Nixon, Motsky, and Luke Fubar are three Canadians in fourth, fifth, and sixth. We have Cecil Turtle in seventh, about 2 seconds away from our leader. We have A. Holmes in eighth, and then Killer Pros rounds out our final position in ninth.
Oh, we have T-Bone in the chat saying that the exhaust can be changed on the car, and that might be
that would be it. Yeah, that would be it. All right, so Deep Forest is now complete for our first group of the day. We will be hopping across the. I was gonna say across the pond. Yeah, so across the pond to upstate New York at Watkins Glen. The configuration will be the full course with the boot, and drivers will have another 15 minutes to complete their best time for here as well. So the other interesting aspect of qualifying is that drivers are able to tune their cars ahead of the qualifying session. So your speed here kind of is all inclusive of your ability not to just drive the car, but also to tune them per track.
And this, I believe, I don't know, you can correct me if I'm wrong, is maybe the first season that the league isn't using a bop for the cars, so people are a little more freed up to set the cars up how they want since they're all pretty close anyway, not a lot of parts to swap out. Is that right?
We did this with last season as well, I think, with the prototype cars, because
Mm-hmm.
we had a I think we just used a weight and power limitation for the cars for the prototype cars last season.
Mm-hmm.
And I think every season before that has been likely BOP. No, the NASCAR season wasn't BOP because we had a special spec build for it, and we used a road car, so we couldn't have used BOP for that. So I think
Okay.
there's been a handful of ones that we haven't used BOP, but the ones that we haven't used BOP has been a little challenging because you have to kind of like trust sometimes that people don't like mess with the tune or mess with the regulation. So you try to best regulate it through the lobby limitations,
Mm-hmm.
but sometimes those aren't like perfect either.
Yeah.
And so I'm in favor of BOP the most because simply it's just easier, but it's also pretty annoying as a driver to have a BOP enabled for every race because you have to enter your tune manually every time you race, which is super annoying.
Yeah, that's one of those little, you know, issues that Gran Turismo could probably clear up for drivers pretty easily. That would make things a lot
Yeah.
simpler.
Yeah, no, it's like it's such a small. I don't want to like speak for them, but like it seems like a small life improvement that would benefit a lot of people. That seems like a relatively small change on their end, but who
Yeah,
knows? Maybe it's more complex
yeah.
than we think.
Who knows? Yeah. In my non-racing life, I work in games, and so whenever I come across something like that, I assume that there is some kind of underlying issue in the architecture of the game that keeps it from being an easy thing to do. But
Yeah,
they could also just not care.
yeah, it's one of those things that if it were really that easy, they'd probably have done it by now.
Right. I'm interested to see how these cars get around Watkins Glen. I'm trying to think, Indy do Indy cars race at Watkins?
I don't know actually. I don't believe so,
I don't think so either.
but NASCAR definitely does, or they did at
Yeah,
least.
yeah. So it'll be interesting to see how these cars get around this track.
And Watkins Glen has been traditionally also an old F1 track, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of cool to see Formula One cars, I guess, quote unquote, back on Watkins Glen. So let's talk about times real quick. So Dutra this weekend has posted some absolutely insane times. So
Not a
for
surprise.
well, yeah, I'm not surprised, dude. So Watkins Glen, Dutra posted a 117.925. So and let's talk about Deep Forest real quick. So Deep Forest was he posted a 107.9, and I
Mm-hmm.
think the fastest time that we saw today so far was a 109, I believe, right? If memory serves correct.
Yep. Yeah, it was a 109.
Yeah.
Yep.
So about just over maybe a second and a half faster than ads. So that's
Wow.
Dutra for you.
Yep. um, has Willie is racing in this season, is he?
He is, and I believe he will be qualifying in the next group,
In
so
the
we'll get to
second group.
see
That'll
his
be
times.
interesting to see
Yeah,
how he stacks up with Dutra.
definitely. Yep. So yeah, Willie's confirmed to run the next group. Excuse me. Yeah. So we'll see how well Willie stacks up against Dutra. They've been quite a force. So I think it was 2 seasons ago, Dutra had a lot of head-to-heads with Willie, and Willie came out on top, just out of sheer consistency throughout the season.
Mm.
But I will say, since then, Dutra's consistency has gotten much better. So it will be very, very interesting to see the battle between these two throughout the season, throughout this season, excuse me, in these cars. So I'm actually super excited to see how that turns out.
And Willie has been driver champion for 2 seasons running now. Is that right, or three? I think
Oh,
it's just the
that's a good
last.
question. Let's see. I think it's 2 seasons. I would have to dive into the LRC archives to. Let's see
We'll get that
here.
answered sometime over the next few races.
Actually, I can pull them up here. Let me see. Let me pull up this spreadsheet here. So if we're talking strictly driver championships, Willie's first season, I think, was. He's been with us for 3 seasons. Or no, my thing's not updated. Okay, so he's been with us for 4 seasons. He joined us in season 2 as a reserve. Okay, so he joined us with us in season 2 as a reserve. 3, he had his own team. So that was that was Team.com's debut. His team standing was 5th, and I think his driver standing was 5th as well. And I
Hmm.
think season 3 might have been the NASCAR season. And then, yeah, so the last 2, season 4 and 5, he has won both of those. Yep. Yeah, so yeah, season 3 was the NASCAR season. And then season 4, I can't remember whether season 4 was the NASCAR season or not, but basically, yeah, season 3, he ended up in 5th place. Season 4 first, last season first. And so he'll be wanting to keep his championship streak alive for this one as well.
All right. And so going back to the time, sorry, we keep meandering away. So ads, he had a 109. I think it was a 109.1. So Dutra is a couple seconds faster. Where does that put ads around other people who've already done their times?
I don't know actually. So I only know of Dutra's times at the moment. I
Okay.
have not been. I have not. Dinosaur has not shared the results with me, and he'll keep those secret until
Ah, okay.
the end of qualifying. So we won't actually know the full on results at the end of the day, and then it won't be until the draft, I believe, later this week or maybe even tomorrow, is when we'll
Hmm.
know who our top 7 will be. And the draft will typically do behind like closed doors because um, we typically don't like to broadcast like the process of picking people.
Hmm.
But I think throughout the week, in a couple days, we'll have the teams announced and whatnot. So if Dutra posted a 117.9 here, we could probably expect the fastest time to be somewhere around a 119, a low 119. So maybe 119, between 119 flat and 119.5 ish, I think. We'll probably see the times for this group.
Well, hopefully no one who's about to be setting their times is listening to that, or they'd hear that you're not expected to do as good as Dutra.
I'm pretty sure everyone in LRC has accepted that.
Yeah.
Fact. All right, so Dinosaur has given us a 30-second warning. We're going to get started in just a minute here.
All right. Ads jumping out quickly. Get up there and start setting times.
The fastest at Deep Forest was a 119, low 119, I think. And that was set by ads.
Yeah, okay. Not 109, 119.
Sorry, 109.
Yeah. How much do you think the draft is going to come into play doing laps around Watkins in these cars?
Honestly,
everybody's keeping kind of bunched up.
I think if you're going to try to get a draft, you're going to be too close to the car in front of you and you're going to be running in the dirty air. So unless if they're like going to tow you and then get out of your way.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone's really going to do that either, since there's no teams yet. You know, this is everyone for themselves still. But who knows? Maybe like when we do have teams, and draft becomes, you know, pretty important for qualifying, for instance. Like maybe we might see that during the season.
Oh, we got Dutra in the chat letting us know that the draft is inconvenient. Dirty air. All right, let's see what Ads can do here on his first flying lap. Cutting through the bus stop.
It's a pretty
long right-hander.
Bus stop there.
Yeah. Good braking zone here, going up the hill. Exit out of this next turn is important. Get the best time to the finish line. Comes out pretty good. Really clean lap overall.
Yeah, turn 9 is pretty tricky. Turn 9's that really kind of uphill entrance into turn 9 and also slightly off camber. It's easy to oversteer on the exit out of turn 9. So Ads will set a 120.076.
I guess times are going to come down at least some for 3 minutes in. Ajax and Cecil both with 121s. You also see the times climb just a little bit as fuel levels drop, but everybody's running pretty light loads in the first place. Pretty brave going through the bus stop, 5th gear, 150 miles an hour. Good stuff.
Yeah, and with the downforce that these cars have, you can go through the bus stop pretty quickly. I wasn't able to see whether or not he lifted or not, but with like the Super Formula cars, for instance, you can pretty much full throttle through there. It's absolutely insane.
Yeah, that sounds pretty intense.
Yeah, it's definitely butt clenching. Like, if to put it in better terms, like it's definitely very, very hairy.
All right, D-Jax dropped down into a 120.6. It's still, I want to say, about 6/10 off of Ads. He dropped his lap a little bit more on his second run. Cecil with a 121.1.
So we're on board with Djax right now, making his way around the chute, getting into the marbles on the outside of the turn 6, braking deep into the toe. The toe is a really interesting corner. There's so much camber and it's such a huge compression. You can brake extremely late into that corner.
Mm-hmm. I've seen in the past coming through there and going back up the hill, you can definitely oversteer and lose the car.
Yeah, for sure. Like,
careful.
Yeah, the compression is so intense in the middle of the corner. As soon as you start exiting the toe, it starts to level out, and then the car all of a sudden becomes probably like half as light as it was through the middle of the corner. Mm-hmm. And so all the turning power and the mechanical grip that you have kind of just suddenly goes away. So Djax now in second. Cecil Turtle jumps up into, third, and Cecil Turtle jumps up into second. Djax will run into some traffic here. Unfortunately, that will make Djax likely have to abort this lap.
Yep.
One of the rules that we use for LRC is that despite being slower, any drivers don't necessarily have to get out of any other driver's way, especially during qualifying. Although if a driver is on a hot lap and one is not, whoever's on the hot lap will typically ask the person to let him pass or whatnot, or it's a little bit of a courtesy thing.
Like Holmes dropped back to let Djax get by, but a little too late for this lap, but he should be set up to do a real flyer next time through.
So there was a poll in our season 6 thread asking whether or not we wanted to do real life teams, like the real teams from 1993 as the teams for the season, or if we wanted to do make-believe teams as we normally do. And so far, I believe the majority of people have voted for using the real teams from 1993. So I think we might end up with, the realistic liveries from that season.
Oh, cool.
So that would be kind of fun.
Be pretty fun. Although I'm a big fan of the custom liveries. I think a good focused, jokey livery is always fun. But I understand the reverence for the classic designs.
Yeah, I'm a little torn. Like, I like the creativity and allowing the members of LSC to let their creativity shine whenever it comes to making liveries. We got some really good livery designers in the Discord. Like, some of the ones that I see are really impressive.
All right, let's see. What's going on doing on this lap?
Forgotten Earth, thanks for following. For anyone who's watching that isn't familiar,
into the wall a little bit for next time.
Yeah. Oh, so he did pick up damage from that, did he?
Yep.
Yeah.
Too bad. I think this was going to be his quickest lap so far, but lost the right one there.
Yeah, and there he goes, jumps into the pit lane. Go fix that damage. That's an incredibly quick pit stop. It's an incredibly short pit stop there. He jumped into the pit slot as soon as he entered the pits. And then it's going to be, probably only a couple seconds before he gets back out. But I was going to say, to anyone who's watching, who's not familiar with LRC, we are a Discord community. LRC stands for Learners Racing Collective. And if you're interested in joining our Discord, I pinned our invite link in chat. Most of our Discord revolves around learning how to become a better race car driver, but it's more about a collab more. It's learning in a collaborative environment. Basically, we do a lot of our events are focused around this collaborative aspect of getting better. As Bad Rhymes and I were talking about earlier, the league is structured around teams to help each other be faster, and the most important aspect of the league is simply the team championship across both divisions.
And yeah, and if you are new watcher or listener, you know, I can't recommend coming into LRC enough if you're just exploring, looking for a place to race. I actually joined a while ago and kind of floated around in the background. I race in some other leagues, and this one was recommended to me. And I came in, kind of the first thing I did with LRC was the academy, and that's where they took a group of us newer racers, and a bunch of the more experienced guys put us through some sessions, different types of trainings, tuning, passing drills, that kind of thing, and I really got a lot out of it. It was a lot of fun, and even some of those people that I was in my cohort with are racing in the league this season, so it's pretty cool to see everybody kind of moving forward. And so really, if you're looking for a place to get into, I would come and check out the academy next time it's running, and get in there.
Yeah, speaking of the academy, I think it'll be maybe a couple weeks before we start the next cohort, so we will post the announcement on Discord whenever that gets ready. But it will be typically like a 6 to 7 week program that will cover pretty much all of the fundamentals of the racing line, understanding mechanical grip, tuning, whatnot, everything that you kind of mentioned, Bad Rhymes, about how to become race ready at LRC.
Right. Coming into the closing minutes of the second round, Ads is up at the top again. Just the Turtle got up into second, seems to be staying there. We'll see if Djax or Goron can push on him a little. Looks like Nixon has finally got in a more representative lap. Oh, Luke Fubar's getting really wiggly. See how that affects his lap time. Oh, and that might be a track limits.
We'll see the penalty arrive soon. So no, he's clear of a penalty, but Nixon did pick up one right behind Luke Fubar.
So our fastest lap, 1:19.9. So yeah, quite about what you were expecting behind the definitive time of Dutra. Forgotten Earth, see you in the chat there. Yeah, we have a lot of people racing in PSVR in the league. A lot of LRC people have made that move. Definitely takes the experience up to the next level. So
yeah, VR, I think, is probably one of the greatest things that GT7 has done with. Oh my goodness. Oh my god. I was like, what is that in the distance there? And it was just Cecil Turtle. Oh my goodness. Let me see if I can catch that on replay. That was wild. Oh yeah, here we go. So there he is. Cecil Turtle just sitting on the. Oh my god, he just moves out of the way just last second. Okay, so we got about a minute left in qualifying. Cecil Turtle has that second position right now. We're currently on board with Cecil Turtle. And look at that. There's only there's less than a tenth between Cecil and Djax for that second position.
So quite a bit for Ads out in the lead there.
Yeah, I don't know if Cecil will be able to do another hot lap. Cecil will have to cross the line before that 30 seconds is up to do a hot lap. Djax right now currently on a hot lap as it is. We'll see if Djax is able to jump ahead of Cecil Turtle. Look at that. Djax is only a 500th of a second ahead of
All right.
Little Goron, so it's pretty tight
Four
between
tenths up
2
on
and
his
3.
fast time. Gotta get him something. That should actually.
Oh, I think that was track
Oh.
limits.
Yep.
Maybe not. Maybe he's not penalized. I think he's okay.
Looks like he lost about a tenth in that section.
Oh,
See
he
what
just
he's at when he
needs
comes to
just
the
about a
line.
10th. Is it enough? It is.
And he gets it
He
up to
gets it.
second.
Little
Let's
Goron
see.
on his,
Oh,
and picks up a 2.5-second penalty. That will be it for Little Goron. So Nixon on a hot lap as well. Nixon
right,
just did his personal best of 120.9 the previous lap. So we'll see if Nixon will be able to improve as well.
just kept it in. Oh no, and that's it for Nixon. So that 129 is going to be his fast lap.
Oh, that's a shame.
You know, that's another turn there. What is that, turn 10? Nope, turn 13. That's another one where it's easy to lose it if you push a little too hard.
Turn 9.
Was that turn 9? No, that was turn 13.
Oh, okay.
Right, coming up.
That's the left-hander that's pretty sharp after the heel, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. That's a tricky turn. Mid corner, it's kind of off camber, and still like a little uphill, and it's really sensitive to getting. The rear can slip out really easily mid corner there. You got to be very, very easy on the accelerator coming out of turn 13.
All right, I think that is the end. I think everyone's put in their final laps. We have ads again at the top.
All right, so let's take a look at the results. All right, so yeah, ads again at the top. Number 1 position, Djax takes the number 2 again. I think Djax took number 2 in the first session. Cecil Turtle with 3rd, Little Goron 4th, and then we have our 3 Canadians again.
They seem
Nixon,
to be pretty
Motsky,
close.
and Luke Nixon, Motsky, and Luke Fubar in 5th, 6th, and 7th. A Holmes in 8th. And we got Kill Pros in 9th again.
All right, one more session for this group.
All right, so our final qualifying shootout track will be Kyoto Driving Park, Yamagiwa.
I'm excited for this one. That's a fun course. I think people are going to be able to go pretty hard in these cars there.
The in-game cars they're driving, I think, are the most grindy ones. What do you mean by grindy, Forgotten Earth? These are so this car specifically, the F3500, I think is only 1 million credits. Because this car was the one they released earlier this year.
Yeah.
The MP44 though, the actual like McLaren MP44 that raced in, I think it was 1988. That one is, I think, 20 million. That one is mad grindy.
Yeah, that one, and I think that one's only available when it comes up in the classics shop, right?
Although I think if you do gold all of the Master S license tests, you can get the MP44 as a prize, which is really, really nice. But then you have to, gold all of the the Master S class license tests, which is also a grind within itself.
And I guess has become more difficult as of a couple updates back. Is what I've heard.
Oh, really? I haven't.
Yeah, I
I
guess some of the
haven't.
car balance changes affected, or maybe they changed the times for success to be a little harder to get.
You can see that. Okay, so we will wait for Dinosaur's 2-minute warning. So Kyoto Driving Park is a pretty interesting track. I really like this track because it's got a good mix of corner types, and
Hmm.
I also like it a lot because it's quite a wide track.
Hmm.
So it gives you a lot of good side by side and a lot of good room for comfortable racing. I think even though we're not going to be doing any racing today, it would be fun to see it. This track favors cars like these a little bit more, in my opinion. Where you're really high speed, it's a lot of like erratic, fast movement. It sets up for really really good driving, in my opinion. Really good
Yeah, I
racing.
agree. I agree. It's going to be fun to see these cars use as much of the track as they can to get their lap times in. I think that width gives a lot of choice for the line you take through the track, and a lot of room to really push it.
Yeah, and the corners that drivers are going to have to really watch out for are turns 13 and 14 in the last sector of the track. So
Hmm.
you look at the track map there in the lobby, the final hairpin, it's turns 13 and 14 are the two before the final hairpin. It's like a long downhill right-hander that quickly turns into a quick left-hander, and the grip there is very very low. So you have to you're coming off the very fast right-hander, so you don't really have much time to brake before the corner in a straight line. So you need to sort of brake almost while you're turning at the same time. And a lot of drivers will get caught out there, and their braking while turning will send them into what is kind of like a wall of champions at turn 14.
Yeah. Yep. I have definitely found myself there. But you get it right, it feels really good.
Yeah, it certainly does. And it's definitely one of those corners where you really benefit from slow in, fast out. That's a really good slow in,
Hmm.
fast out corner.
I'm thinking, are any of the tracks being used for the shootout? Are they in the league this season? I don't believe they are. I think that Dyno has made sure to separate that out.
Yeah, so
Let's see.
every track that is selected for the shootout is not in the actual league for the races. I
Okay.
think Dinosaur does that intentionally.
Yeah.
So,
Uh,
quick preview of the
yeah.
season. A quick preview of the schedule this season. So, we have our qualifying shootout today. We'll do the draft tomorrow for our 7 teams. Then we have our preseason race next Tuesday. So every event that we have for this season, and this has been the same for all the seasons we had in the past, where we just always race on Tuesdays, both the Division 1 race and the Division 2 race. So week 1 will be 2 weeks from now. On July 8th, we'll be racing at Interlagos. And I think Dinosaur, the tournament organizer, the league organizer, has kind of tried to mirror this to a Formula One schedule as much as possible. So Brazilian GP will be the first one. That'll be at Interlagos. The Barcelona GP track with the chicane will be week 2. The British GP at Brands Hatch will be week 3. Then we'll get a summer vacation week, so like a bye week. Then Belgium, so Spa-Francorchamps, and then Monza the following. Then Suzuka And finally, um, he calls it the Australian GP, and it's at Mount Panorama. So they're gonna be running the
That,
F3500 at Mount Panorama, which is absolutely insane, but it's actually kind of
yeah,
awesome at the same time.
I feel like we're gonna see somebody get airborne coming down the hill.
Yeah, the skyline. Yeah, we're gonna see some action there. Um, I can't remember what season it was, but there was one season where we had it at Mount Panorama, and the number of incidents that our stewards had to deal with after that race was just astronomical.
I can imagine.
Like we had
Yeah.
I think it was like a 5 car pileup or something, and we had to basically review the incident from all 5 car angles, and it was a mess.
Well, hopefully we won't see that, but hopefully we will see some, at least some interesting action going through there. Yeah, it's not a track built for these kinds of cars, so I think that's a perfect way to end the season.
Yeah, I agree. It'll be interesting too if the season's very close and the stakes are very
Hmm.
high, and so when you have a situation where the stakes are very close, or sorry, the stakes are very high, and the championship is very close, any sort of small mistake at Mount Panorama could cause drastic changes in the championship final. So I think that'd be very very exciting to be at Mount Panorama at the climax of the season. That's if someone like Willie hasn't already won the championship by then.
Just doing a little research. Looks like, yeah, F1 has never been at Bathurst, but it's definitely been brought up in the past. Um, some people have tried it out doing demonstrations. Jensen Button has been there,
Yeah,
but it doesn't meet the FIA standards, so
I've
won't
definitely
be seeing it anytime
seen.
soon.
Yeah, I've definitely seen demonstration laps done at Mount Panorama with Formula One cars. I think Red Bull has done it once. I think Sebastian Vettel has done it once. I think,
Hmm.
or maybe it was Mark Webber. I can't remember. But it's super funny, just the idea of that.
It looks like Daniel Ricciardo did a Red Bull run. You're right. Yeah, that makes sense.
Ah, it's Daniel Ricciardo. Okay, yeah, that would make sense. Have an Australian driver do it.
Weather looks a little cloudy, but I don't imagine. I wouldn't put it completely past him, but I wouldn't imagine Dinosaur would have anyone qualify in rain.
I'd hope not. Although one of the seasons we did have rain as part of one of the qualifying shootouts, and I think it was at Tsukuba, the
Mm.
Tsukuba circuit in Japan, and it was kind of funny because I had held a an academy workshop of driving in the rain at Tsukuba just the week before,
Hmm.
just to help people prepare for it. And pretty much everyone who showed up to that did exceptionally well, obviously at that track, and then everyone who
Hmm.
didn't just did really poorly, and it drastically affected the leaderboard because the rain times were so off, right, compared to everything
Uh-huh.
else. So you could have a rain time that's maybe 5 or 6 seconds that's off the ideal time, and that just completely changed your aggregate time. And back then we were also doing automatic team formation just based off of your time. We didn't do a draft. So
Mm.
it really mixed up the teams quite a bit just based off of your ability to run one qualifying shootout on a rain soaked track. And after that we were kind of like, let's not include rain because it affects the results too much, too drastically.
Uh-huh.
So you could have, for instance,
Yeah.
a very fast driver who's really good in the dry and would perform really, really well. But then if they do really poorly in the rain for a qualifying shootout, they might get put artificially low into a division.
Right. So you would have people ending up where they shouldn't necessarily be just because of one bad performance in the rain.
Exactly. Yeah. Like they would win pretty much. They could potentially just win every single race just because they did poorly in the rain during the shootout. All
All
right.
right. Looks like third round is getting started. Ads right out there immediately again. Let's see. Oh, he's got
Yeah,
some
kind of a
company.
traffic jam coming out of the pit exit there. I'm surprised no one picked up a penalty. It's almost like a race. Jeez, you got Holmes right behind, and I think it was Djax. Yeah, Djax was right behind Holmes. All right, so we'll stick to being on board with ads for the first hot lap during this qualifying shootout. For the final part of the qualifying shootout. Ads so far has been in the top position for all three. Tires are still a little bit cold there, trying to find grip around the hairpin of turn 12. And then there's 13 and 14 right there. Fast
Take it pretty
left-hander.
easy. I bet won't be quite so reserved next time through. All right,
And
here
maybe
he goes.
the added downforce of these cars might actually make 14 not as difficult as it is with some lower downforce cars, because if you have no downforce, you got to rely on mechanical grip going into the braking zone of 13. You have to be very sensitive, but if you have enough downforce, you actually might have enough braking power to slow the car enough with the left-hand turn. So with these cars, it actually might be a little bit more trivial. We'll see.
No brakes through the big sweeper there to the left, just a little feathering on the accelerator. Good stuff. Alright, Ads is coming around to the last turn. He'll be setting our first representative time. .111.9. Alright, let's see what everybody else clocks their first time. 113. Ads just pushing on.
So for reference, Dutra put in a 109.991. I know, right? Crazy. So that's about 2 seconds ahead of what Ads has done. So I suspect Ads still has quite a bit of time to find throughout the session. If that was his first hot lap, we'll see if he can pick up potentially a second or anywhere between half a second to a second. We'll see.
Expect Djax to shave quite a bit off of his first lap this time through.
So in that last lap, Ads improved to a 111.3, so shaved off nearly 6/10 of a second off the fast lap.
Oh, somebody parked up on the side there, Goron.
I think Goran was a victim to the wall of champions. Or maybe he is just waiting for some clean air.
And that would be the time.
Or maybe he's having steering wheel issues or something. Goran diving out of the way there for ads. He's got a clear track now. Yeah, maybe he's having mechanical issues.
He must be having, yeah, something else must be going on. Luke Fubar, one of the Canadians, up in 5th.
So how much do we want to wager whether or not the 3 Canadians are in a row once again?
I think that we can be relatively assured of that based on the results so far. Oh,
Luke Fubar there being extra cautious around turn 14. Overslowed the car quite a bit. Getting a wheel wiggle there on the opposite side of the curb.
Gotta be careful accelerating on those curbs sometimes.
Yeah.
You have wheels off of it. Especially those painted areas that they have along the edge of this track.
Yeah, I think the key for this track, I think, in terms of tuning, is to allow your car to be as curb compliant as possible and abuse them as much as possible. But there is a limit to how much you can ride those curbs, and that's, I think, right where the inside of the curb ends. There's almost like a drop off from the concrete section of the curb and the grass, and that drop off there can pull your car inwards if you get a tire in there, just like what happened with Luke Fubar on the exit of that last turn there. It got a wheel just beyond the curb and it kind of pulled the front end quite a bit and made him lose control.
Still pretty tentative through that turn for this time. Right now, Goran, I believe with his whatever issues he's having, is keeping the Canadians split up. Pros looks like he's improving.
Yep. On a personal best so far.
DJX just came through with a 111. Is that 9? So still quite a bit off of ads, but getting closer.
Caleb Rose gets a good exit out of turn 15, and jumps up into seventh place. I think maybe not jumped up. I think he was there, but improved his time.
No, he was in 8th. He got up just.
Oh, he did jump up. Nice.
Yeah. Fubar just put in his time, not enough to take the first back. Second up, but still quite a bit of that to get through.
That left-hand turn 6 is so fast. It's just a light lift of the car, but you just going down that turn so quickly, that downhill. It's absolutely insane.
A lot of commitment to just stay in. You can, adds, let's see, Motzke's in 6, adds up in 1st. You can kind of see a little bit of the variations. Often just avoids. Nope, he got picked up a little damage front right there. Gonna compromise.
Car is dramatically understeering on turn 15 due to that damage. I think he was up half a second, but lost out on a lot of time there at the Wall of Champions. tricky corner. It's I think you got to take turn 13, the entrance of it, very much on the left side, and then take an extremely late apex to get you the best straight braking zone as possible.
Motsky is really pushing on again, but I think that damage is hurting him a little bit. He actually was on the accelerator down the hill on that left sweeper. Cecil really getting stuck in. A little too much weave in there. I think that's gonna hurt his lap.
Yeah, Cecil, I believe, is still in an out lap here. I think he's...
Oh, yeah. Fair enough. It's like Ads improved about 600ths of a second on his fast lap now. Just moving that much more out ahead. Alright, let's see what Cecil can do here on a low fuel run. Oh, D-Jax just moved up into first.
Oh, nice. So 111.108. And Cecil there has set a purple sector for Sector 1. And Sector 2. So Cecil Turtle right now on track to making pole position if he can keep it up. A little slow on the power there. It looked like he lost quite a bit of time coming out of the hairpin of turn 12. Very gentle out of 14.
See what he ends up with across the line. Oh, not enough.
He jumps up into third though. Still about a second and 0.3 of a second behind Ads.
So he's just pushing on. Yeah, really pushing the cars through that first turn. Alright, Nixon coming down to the left sweeper. He is staying on the accelerator. Just the slightest little bit of feathering to keep it going. Seems like a lot of the drivers are pretty tentative through that little S complex there at the bottom of the hill.
Yeah, the chicane after that long left-hander.
Oh, it looks like somebody lost it and went back to the pits.
Nixon coming around turn 15, taking a very late apex to the turn. Will he improve and jump into the top 3? Does not. He does not improve on his time.
Getting down to the final laps here. 1 minute to go in the first session, third round of qualifying.
Oh, A-Holmes loses the back end there at the hairpin of turn 12.
It's about time for one more probably. Just needs to gather it up, clear his head, get on it, put one more lap in, see if he can close down that gap to Motsky. Ads is in the pits. I guess that he might say that he's done good enough. Oh, off into the grass.
Oh no,
Oh,
no. Holmes is
oh
pushing a little too hard there.
no.
Luckily, Killer Pros avoided Holmes in that first sector. That's interesting.
Yeah, Cecil again. Much better choice than where he was on Watkins Glen.
It's funny because it doesn't show him on the track radar.
I wonder if it's a desync issue. That's clear.
Nice entry there into turn 14. Was a little late on the accelerator, but sometimes that's the nature of the corner.
So he was having some missing the shifts a little bit there.
It doesn't improve.
Not gonna improve.
Let's see, who's the last person running right now? That was Holmes trying to complete their lap. Unfortunately, doesn't make it, or will make it, but obviously will not improve. But will stay in 7th after Killpros was unable to improve on his time. So Holmes will maintain that 7th position. And I think
like
that
nobody had an answer for Djax.
Yeah, and Djax was able to take it away from ads in this last shootout. And we did not have the 3 successive Canadians this time around, so
It's actually
I
spread
think you
out quite a
jinxed
bit
it.
this time. Curse of the commentary box.
Yeah. The commentator's curse is very real. There was one race, I can't remember who it was, but like every single, I think it was like at Spa, but every single time I changed the camera onto them, they would spin out. It was like 4 times during the stream. It was like immediately I'd flip to them to their car, and they would immediately spin out. It was the funniest and kind of strangest thing I've experienced as a commentator.
That's a pretty huge power that you wield.
Yeah, dangerous. All right, so let's go over the results one more time. So Djax will take that first position with a 1:11.1. So that's actually pretty close to Dutra's time. I think Dutra's time was a 1:09.9. So that's about a second and 2/10 from Dutra's time, which is not that bad actually. Usually, like Dutra is always like a second and a half to 2 seconds above the rest of the field. So that's pretty good. So Ads will be taking second for the 3rd phase of the shootout. Cecil Turtle will be 3rd. We have Nixon in 4th, Goron 5th, Motsky in 6th, Holmes in 7th. Killpros takes 8th, and then Luke Fubar will take 9th. So Luke Fubar probably not able to put in a very good lap there towards the end, but did the best he could, obviously. And that will conclude our Group 1 for today's qualifying session. We will be back with Group 2. This is Group 1. We'll be back with Group 2 in about half an hour or so. So we will end the broadcast, and then we'll pick it back up in about 30 minutes. So any closing remarks? Bad Rhymes, you got anything?
No, nothing in particular. It was just pretty good stuff to watch. Nice to see everybody getting out there. More of a spread, I think, in the times than I expected. I was kind of expecting everybody to be a lot closer, but that's why it's the league. Everybody gets to sit in where they fit in and race against the people that they're matched with once you get down to it. Cool to see Ads up there near the top. I've done some racing with him, so nice to see him doing well. Yeah, good stuff.
Yeah, Ads loves Formula cars, so he's exceptionally excited about this season. And the other thing to note is that the groups that qualify aren't really necessarily grouped together based off of skill or anything. So the spread will be likely much larger than we would see during the race or whatnot, when drivers are actually paired with with their skill levels, and having, of course, 28 drivers will make it a lot more even as well. So
Hmm.
with that, thank you for watching. We will be back in about 30 minutes. We'll end the stream here, and then we'll just pick it back up when qualifying starts again. So hang tight, and we will be back soon.